Hi student, welcome back. So for the pre-section we talk about the quantity which is minus. So for this section I would like you to drop the cancel orders because we don't want to analyze the data with the cancel because it didn't happen. So we have to cancel, we have to delete all the entity for cancel orders. So we have to ignore cancel orders which the quantity is minus. Okay, so we use this LOC which is location, right? So we use the location. So you can use the same process like this one. It's the same. Now with the LOC you can use the same. You can do the same. Okay, so I have mentioned in the previous videos. Okay, so let me filter the quantity is bigger than 0, which is ordinary orders without cancelled. Okay, so filter all the data and restore back to our original data frame. So let me show what is the original data set, the shape for the original data set. It's this one, right? 541,909 entities, transactions, right? So I would like to filter. I only choose the quantity which is bigger than 0, okay? And we restore the result back to DF. And you will have to show the DF dimension again. So here you may find the difference from this one and the previous one. So can you explain the difference? 你能够解释这两个差别吗? So the previous one we did not do the filter function. So all the quantity less than 0 are in our data set. But with this function, so we fill out, we delete the row, the records for quantity less than 0. So we get a new dimension for our data frame, which is 531,285 rows. So it's less than the previous one because we delete the cancel orders. Okay, so we can use the method too. We use DF to find the true statements for quantity which is bigger than 0 and restore back to our DF. You get the same thing, right? Okay, so right now, so far we have successfully deleted the cancelled orders. Okay, so my question number 4 is how many valid orders are here currently? So right now, what is the valid order, 有效的订单? So we delete the cancel order. So what is the answer? The answer is this one, right? Not this one. This one, not this one. It used to be this one. Okay, so the valid orders are 531 more than this one. Okay, it's time for us to do the data preparation. Okay, so I have spent a lot of time to explain the data set. What is the data set mean? So before we analyze our data, we have to do a lot of paperwork. We have to do a lot of data cleaning. So we call data replication or preparation. Okay, okay, to prepare your data ready. Okay, since we have omit the cancel orders, so right now we have to do the data cleaning process. The first thing is we have to handle the customer ID with missing value. With the describe functions, you can check the missing value for each column like we have talked before. So right now our new dimension for our data set is this one, and you can use the describe function to check the missing value for the customer ID. Okay, so here is the count. So how many instances for customer ID? There are only 397,000. It's less than 531,000. So you can use this one to minus this one. So you get these numbers. So they are more than 133,000 records. They are missing value for our customer ID columns. Okay, so please answer my questions. So how many missing value does customer ID have? So you know the answers. It's very easy. Can use the description, statistical describe to know the missing value for each column. Okay, so next step we have to use is NA function to filter and to count the summation for the missing value. So we use the customer ID like before. So we use the quantity column. So for this process we use customer ID instead, the quantities. So we have to check the quantity, the columns with customer ID to check if it is NA or not. What does NA mean? Not available. NA, it means not available. So it's like you ask computer, please check the customer ID is NA or not, and do the summation with all the result. Okay, so you get the result for this one is the same as we have do the summation before. Okay, it's more than 133,000 customers without any customer ID. So what does this happen? So why the e-commerce didn't record all the customer ID? Why? So you may have these questions. Maybe it's not use the customer ID because maybe it's just a guest. They don't use their customer ID to get the transactions. So they didn't keep the customer ID. Okay, so we have to delete the customer ID without any customer IDs records. Okay, so you can use this function to check is the customer ID is NA or not. Like we did it before, we used this one before, right? Is bigger than 0 or not. It will answer the true statement or false statements. Okay, so my question number 6 is why we can use sum function to calculate the sum of missing value. Because for the programming language, the false statement instead we can stand as 0. For the true statements, we stands for 1. So basically we can use the true statement to sum up the numbers for the missing value. So we can use this one, sum, to calculate the numbers for the true statements and with the false statements. So for the true statement, it stands as 1. False will be 0. Okay? So you know these answers. And then we have to show the first row for our customer ID. So we use the same function as location, LOC functions. So here we do the filters, right? So we check the customer ID is NA or not, and show me the first 5 rows. I don't want to show all the content for more than 39,000 records. I only show the first 5 rows. So you know here. So here the customer ID with a missing data. So for today, for our course today, so we want to do the product recommendation, right? So without the customer ID, we cannot do the prediction for recommendation. So that's why in the next process we have to delete the customer ID with not available column, the rows. Okay, so we use the drop here, the drop NA function to delete, to drop the value in our data frame. So for this one, I print out before the deletions. And then we use the function drop NA function. And to check the column is it is with missing value or not. If customer ID with missing value, so we drop this record and we restore back to our original data set DF, and then show me again the dimension for the new data set. Okay, so here you may find before dropping the missing value is here. So the number is 531,285 rows. So we delete the missing value for the customer ID column. So we only get 397,924 rows. Okay, and then our next process, so we have to do the business analytics. Okay, so my question number 7. So how many pieces of the data do we have left for analyze? So you know the answers. Okay, so with today's homework, it's easy for you guys if you just watch my video, so you all know the answers for my questions. Okay, so we do the same thing again. Customer ID, the descriptive statistic, and then we set the customer ID as integers. So DF as type. Type is the data type. So we set the original data customer ID with int 33, so it means integer data type. So you just know. Okay, so show me the customer ID right now. So without any missing value. Okay, so you have to answer my question from question number 5, number 6, and all the way to question number 7. Okay, we just take a break and then we have to do the advanced addition supplement. Okay, to use the data analytics for what you want to note.